the glaring reality that nobody's really telling you right now is you have no future in real estate without learning AI. Like there's no future in the world in which you don't have to learn how to communicate with AI. You know, like the kids being born today won't know what a search engine is.
Right.
They like, how crazy is that? They won't know what Googling something means.
Right.
Right. Like this is where the world is heading. And if you want to skate to where the puck is moving, and I know that's what everybody wants to do, but it's just the reality that you're going to have to learn how to communicate with it. And I think what people have to understand is that prompting and how you communicate it is, I guess this could be the first tip, but just going into it is, it's a language in itself. The language of the future is how you communicate and prompt artificial intelligence. Whether it's, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but they have like literally AI robo stations inside of some malls out in California right now, where you can go into there and tell them what you're feeling, what you're doing, and it will be able to prompt to give you responses back. So like AI is getting incorporated into so much of our everyday life. I just showed somebody the other day how to use the advanced voice, which would be one thing that we cover today. And they're all of a sudden, instead of hiring tutors for their kid, they're using AI to become their kid's tutor. So
it's wild. So look at that. And it's basically comes down to communication, right? Yeah. That's just everything. And so it's learning the language of how to communicate. And that's really what you're saying by, hey, you got to understand the prompts, which is just learning how to communicate with this tool that is essentially becoming a guide, a mentor, an assistant that you're carrying around with you in your pocket.
Yeah. And, you know, I would say the biggest mindset shift, if you haven't had this yet, this would be for me, write her down or a takeaway. Start looking at ChatGPT as your lifelong employee, and then everything will start changing for you. It's not just a tool. You might say artificial intelligence. It is intelligence, family. It is intelligence. It thinks, it responds, it reads, it learns. You can train it. It's literally the employee you've been dreaming of. You just didn't know what it would look like.
Right. So how do you start to communicate and really mold to really take advantage of the operating system that's already included, right? So like when we're talking about making hires, we want to hire batteries included, right? We want to hire, they already have an operating system installed. We're not trying to install an operating system of how to do graphic design or how to do, you know, funnel building or how to do social media management or how to, you know, the skill of being able to have a conversation with somebody or transaction management or anything like that. You look through all the different functions throughout the real estate business. And, you know, how do you make sure that you're able to tap into the operating system that this lifelong employee brings to your, you know, to your life and to your business?
Yeah. No, that's a great question because it comes down to, you know, let's take it from the example of it's an employee, right? So what would you do with the first thing that you hire an employee? You would tell it who you like. It needs to know who you are in your business, where you're located, how long you've been in the business, what are your accolades, what are your goals as a company? Yeah. So it's the same thing with ChatGPT. There's something called custom instructions on your ChatGPT. So if you like click in the top right, then you go to customize ChatGPT and there's something called custom instructions. That's where it's basically the main knowledge base and what it knows about you can be done right there. So you can tell it who you are, what business you're in, how long you've been in the business, what are your goals, and then they ask you, what do you want ChatGPT to know about you to provide a better response? So you include that there. And also, again, thinking about ChatGPT as your employee, there's something called the memory feature with ChatGPT. So it's essentially the brain in which it computes and answers information and gets to learn about you. So you can literally just start updating the memory with more and more information. Who are you looking to market to? Who is your ideal client? What is the information about you that they need to learn? So this is where you start literally building the brain of your ChatGPT. So to me, it's just, again, you start thinking about this as an employee. What do you want your employee to be more well-trained on? And that's the information you start feeding it and have the memory just get updated more and more and more as you go.
Yeah. No, I think it's absolutely critical, right? So you think through the onboarding process that you have for any team member,
Yeah.
And that's just a great way to think about it, where you start. I think that'll help a lot of people if they think in terms like this person's going to be rolling around with you for, from now on. What do they need to know to get them on board it and
Yeah.
as effectively and efficiently as possible?
And, and just really having depth of vision too. I mean, you see the new iPhone, Apple Intelligence built into it. Guess what it's run off of? ChatGPT. I'm in a group, there's 150 CEOs in the world allowed in this group. It's pretty exciting. They talk about longevity, which is like extending human life, robotics, and artificial intelligence. One of the women in our group, she's the CEO of one of these companies, and they literally had an android host a dinner party for her and her friends. It's not quite at the stage where you can go to the public yet, but guess what that robot was run based off of? ChatGPT. So like when we're saying that this is your lifelong employee, it's not just going to be like on your computer. It's going to be built into a lot of appliances and a lot of things inside of your life. So the more well-trained mine is, it can start just being plugged into more and more and more as we continue to grow with this thing.
No, I love that. I love that. So definitely tip number one, I think it's a mindset approach, but then go in and onboard this thing, right? Go in and onboard this team member.
No, absolutely. Go in and onboard it and treat it like an employee. Feed it information about you, about what you do, what makes you different, what is your value propositions. Because then what I'm about to show you next is it just makes it a lot better for you.
Yeah. Well, then I think that's kind of the next progression, right? You get them onboarded. They know the history. They know kind of that founder story. They kind of know the value story of what it is that you do. Yeah. They know the inspiration of why we have internal team members in the first place. I think just being able to download that. I know for me, I went through and just took our VTO, right, which was our strategic plan. The VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer that we utilize. That's the strategic plan we use. I just copied and pasted and put that in there. I put in there my personal core values. I put in there, the mission that I'm on. And I just took Patrick Bet-David's Choose Your Enemies Wisely, the mission formula of how he determines mission. I put that in there, answered the questions, and really talked about our ICP and the business model that we want to have. And it created everything, and everything was done. And then I asked, okay, what are the top 10 business metrics I need to be paying attention to in order for my business to be able to grow according to who we are and our values and our mission and our goals. And it's just in real time. I mean, things that would take us, days to kind of flush out was done in, a matter of moments.
Yeah.
And I think that's really being able to see the power. And so that's great. But now it's then, okay, how do we execute on that? Right. Yeah. That's so being able to lay out, I think, the plan, being able to have the right communication, being able to think in terms of really getting things out of your head in the right way to be able to communicate. But to me, then it's all about the execution.